Nevertheless, sir, not too long ago, you had argued that this president has a problem with the truth. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think it's been proven that on a number of occasions, President Trump has made statements that were not exactly correct. And I think that John McCain and I, who were graduates, both graduates of the Naval Academy in Annapolis, were imbued with the principle that the truth was preeminent and was a real test of integrity. Any kind of misleading statement that you made at the Naval Academy would result in instant dismissal. And there was no two questions about it. There was no trial or anything else. You were just gone. And so I think that elevating the truth to a top position where you're careful not to ever make a statement that might be misleading to somebody else is a very worthwhile thing to do.
You know, the president had a very acrimonious relationship with the late Senator John McCain. You know the whole drill about the half-staff flag, and then it was put up back to full staff, then back to half-staff, not putting out a statement, then putting out a statement. What did you think of all of that?
I thought that President Trump made a mistake at first by not recognizing John McCain's unquestioned commitment to our country in the Navy and as a prisoner of war, and also in his service in the Congress. And I think both his critics and also his supporters made it plain to him that he had made a mistake when the flag was up and down and so forth. But I think that his last statement that I read yesterday has basically corrected that, and now the flag will be lowered in honor of John McCain's service to our country until appropriate time. So I think the early mistakes that were made have been adequately corrected.
Mr. President, there are many in your party who are salivating at their prospects in the midterms, talk of a blue wave. Many of them are mentioning the I word, impeachment, if they get control of the House. What do you think of that?
Not me. I don't talk about impeachment. I think that's the wrong thing for Democrats to do. And I think the outcome of the 2018 elections are just completely unknown now.
Yeah.
I'm not actively involved in politics anymore, as you know, but I'll be helping the Democrats the best I can. And I presume you'll be voting Republican. I don't know for sure, but you don't have to tell me. But I think that the American people will make the right choice.
Oh, well, you'd be surprised, my political leanings, Mr. President. But let me ask you this, sir. You know, President Trump has said that if Democrats pursue impeachment, you can kiss this market rally goodbye, that stocks would tank. What did you think of that?
You know, I think the president has much less influence over the economy than is generally publicized by the president himself. I know when I was in office, you know, some bad things happened with the economy. I never did feel that I personally was responsible for it, because the Congress on taxation and the Federal Reserve on the access to money and things like that. And the general attitude in the business community has much more to do with the economy than the incumbent president. But whenever the economy goes up, the president always wants to take credit for it. Whenever the economy goes down, the president wants to avoid responsibility.
Right.
And I think it's been that way in our country ever since we started.
I thought of you, sir, when this president was criticizing Jerome Powell, the new Federal Reserve chairman, and his stance on hiking interest rates. And if anyone could have made a case, you know, bemoaning interest rate hikes, it was you with Paul Volcker at the time. You didn't. Was it tempting then? I mean, the rates were going up half a point, a full percentage point at a time. What did you make of that, and why didn't you publicly state anything?
Well, I guess you're talking about when I was president.
When you were president with Paul
when
Volcker.
I was deciding. Well, I was deciding on whom to appoint to be the head of a Federal Reserve Bank. And I decided that Paul Volcker would be the best choice, because I thought he would take steps, even though it was not good for me politically, it would be good for our economy and for our nation. And so that was one of the most difficult decisions I ever made, was to put Paul Volcker in charge.
Do you think that cost you the election? Do you think that cost you the election in retrospect?
It was a negative factor in the election, but I wouldn't say it was the cause of the election, no. But it was the right thing to do, and I'm glad I did it in retrospect. And Paul Volcker, since then, has become a good friend of mine. He and I are both good fly fishermen, and we get together on fishing and so forth. So Paul Volcker has been a hero of mine, economically speaking, ever since then.
Mr. President, it's been great. It's been great chatting with you. I remember getting coffee and then working the copier. I learned a lot, but thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Neil, and you did more than just get coffee. But thank you very much for being an intern and also for your good work on the television.
Thank you very much, sir.
Best wishes to you.
To you as well.